So, the 2024-25 season is about to begin. Teams are currently either in pre-season or are starting their competitive games with the League Cup group stages. So, as we look forward to the new season, let's look back on the previous season and see who is the best team in every county. By county, I mean post-1975 when the Local Government Scotland Act came into effect, so there will be no historic counties such as Peeblesshire, Kirkcudbrightshire or Sutherland. Just the current 32 council areas that exist today. Also, by best team, I mean the team that finished highest in the Scottish footballing pyramid. So, a team getting relegated from a division is still placed higher than a team that got promoted. So, with that all clarified, let's start our tour of Scotland, shall we? Aberdeen. Aberdeen FC. Starting off in the northeast, we have the county of Aberdeen, with the best team being, well, Aberdeen. Aberdeen's season was a bit of a mess, having 3 managers, playing in the Conference League, reaching the League Cup final and Scottish Cup semi-final, and finishing 7th in the league after being in the bottom 6 for pretty much the whole season. They are still comfortably the best team in the county, with the only other team in the SPFL being Cove Rangers, who themselves finished 5th in League 1. Aberdeenshire. Peterhead. Heading even further northeast, we have Peterhead representing Aberdeenshire. Peterhead had a decent league season, finishing 2nd in League 2, but were unable to win the playoffs against Spartans, missing out on promotion to League 1. When it came to the Cups, they were knocked out in the 3rd round of the Scottish Cup by Ayr United on penalties, and were knocked out in the group stage of the League Cup. Peterhead are the only team in the SPFL from Aberdeenshire, but there are many teams in the Highland League, with Fraserburgh coming out on top with a 3rd place finish. Angus. Arbroath. Our first championship team and first team to get relegated, we have Arbroath. Having spent the last few seasons as undoubtedly the best part-time team in the country, this season saw it all come crashing down with a pretty dismal season, finishing bottom with 23 points, 19 behind fellow relegated club Inverness. It wasn't much better in the Cups, with a 3rd round defeat to Spartans being their only game in the Scottish Cup, along with a League Cup group stage exit. Fellow Angus side Montrose were able to finish 4th in League 1 and will be relishing the chance to play their local rivals again next season, with other Angus sides Forfar being in a relegation scrap in League 2 and Brecon City finishing 2nd in the Highland League. Argyll and Bute. Campbellton Pupils. Going all the way down to the west of Scotland 4th Division, we have Campbellton Pupils. Despite finishing 2nd bottom in the lowest league in the pyramid, they are the team representing Argyll and Bute in this video, as they are the only team from the county in the league setup. Clackmannanshire. Alloa Athletic. Now to mainland Scotland's least populous county, we have Clackmannanshire, and for them, it's Alloa Athletic. Alloa is the largest town in Clackmannanshire, so it's unsurprising that they are the best team in the county. Last season, they finished 3rd in League 1, losing to Hamilton in the playoffs, with a 4th round defeat in the Scottish Cup to Motherwell and a League Cup group stage exit. As the smallest county, it's no surprise that the next best team is way down the pyramid, with Socky Juniors finishing 6th in the East of Scotland Premier Division. Dumfries and Galloway. Queen of the South. The closest county when it comes to the best and second best teams, we have Queen of the South coming out on top in Dumfries and Galloway. In what was ultimately a season of underachievement, Queens finished 7th in League 1, 2 points above fellow Dumfries and Galloway side Annan Athletic. In the Cups, Queens were knocked out in the 4th round of the Scottish Cup by St Mirren and would exit the League Cup at the group stage. Meanwhile, Stranraer beat East Kilbride in the relegation playoffs to retain their League 2 status. Dundee. Dundee. Our second city county and our second team sharing the city's name is on top. This time it's Dundee. Dundee returned to the Premiership after winning the Championship the previous season and, under Tony Docherty, were able to finish in the top 6. Missing out on European football by 5 points. They weren't so successful in the Cups, however, being knocked out by Kilmarnock in the 4th round of the Scottish Cup and a group stage exit in the League Cup. The rivals across the street, Dundee United, meanwhile, won the Scottish Championship, seeing the Dundee Derby return to the top flight for next season. East Ayrshire. Kilmarnock. From one Premiership club to another, we are now at East Ayrshire with Kilmarnock. Killie were able to finish a comfortable 4th place in the Premiership last season, earning them Europa League football for the coming year. In the Cups, meanwhile, they made the quarter-finals of both the League Cup and Scottish Cup, with Hearts and Aberdeen stopping them from getting a trip to Hampden. In what might be the biggest gap between the best and second best clubs, The next best team in East Ayrshire are h-Eileanan, who finished second in the West of Scotland Premier Division, the 6th tier of Scottish football. East Dunbartonshire, Kirkintilloch Rob Roy. Going to the northern edge of Glasgow now, and in East Dunbartonshire we have Kirkintilloch Rob Roy. Rob Roy finished 15th in the West of Scotland Premier Division, seeing them get relegated down to the 1st Division. The next best teams in East Dunbartonshire are West Park United, who finished 15th in the 3rd Division, and Rossvale, who finished 4th in the 4th Division. Both clubs are only just in East Dunbartonshire, as they both share a ground that is on the same road that divides Bishopbriggs in East Dunbartonshire with the Greater Glasgow area. East Lothian, Tranent Juniors. From the outskirts of Glasgow to the outskirts of Edinburgh, we now head to East Lothian and with Lowland League side Tranent Juniors. Tranent would finish 5th in the Lowland League, but in the Scottish Cup would lose 1-0 to Forfar in the 3rd round. Tranent are the only side from East Lothian in the Lowland League, with the next highest ranked club being Musselburgh Athletic, who finished 2nd in the East of Scotland Premier Division, followed by Dunbar United in 4th and Haddington Athletic in 8th. East Renfrewshire, Ayrshire. Back to the outskirts of Glasgow, and we're once again heading to the West of Scotland Premier Division, with Barhead club Ayrshire. Ayrshire finished 14th in the league, which, just like Kirkintilloch, would see them relegated to the 1st Division. The next best teams were Neilston, who finished 16th in the 1st Division, and Giffnock, who finished 5th in the West of Scotland 4th Division. Edinburgh, Heart of Midlothian. To the heart of the capital, the best team in Edinburgh last season was Heart of Midlothian. Hearts, despite a wobbly start, were able to finish strong with a comfortable 3rd place finish in the Premiership, guaranteeing European group stage football for next season. They were able to reach the semi-finals in both the League Cup and the Scottish Cup, losing both games to Rangers. Their cross-city rivals Hibs, meanwhile, were, well, Hibs. Hibs finished 8th in the Premiership and made the League Cup semi-final, losing to Aberdeen, whilst they lost to Rangers in the quarter-final of the Scottish Cup. Further down the pyramid, we had Edinburgh City having an appalling season in League 1, mainly due to off-field issues, and Spartans, who in their first season in League 2 finished 3rd, losing in the playoff final to Dumbarton. Falkirk. Heading west along the M8 and we reach Falkirk, where the best team is Falkirk. Falkirk were able to win League 1 at the 5th attempt, managing to complete an emphatic unbeaten league season. In the Cups, meanwhile, in the Scottish Cup, they would be knocked out at the 4th round by Bonnyrigg Rose and would exit the League Cup at the group stage. Other teams in the area include Stenhousemuir, who won League 2, their first ever league title, and in the Lowland League, Bo'ness United finished 3rd, while East Stirlingshire finished 14th. Fife, Reef Rovers. Across the Forth to the Kingdom of Fife, where we meet the undisputed kings, Reef Rovers. Reef finished 2nd in the Championship, just behind Dundee United, but were ultimately defeated by Ross County in the playoff final. In cup competitions, Reef would be knocked out of the Scottish Cup by Livingston at the 4th round and by Hibs in the 2nd round of the League Cup. They would also make the Challenge Cup semi-final before being defeated by Airdrie, denying Reef a 3rd consecutive final. Meanwhile, 24 points and 4 places lower are Dunfermline Athletic, who lost 5 games against Reef, including a 3-0 defeat at home in the Scottish Cup 3rd round. In League 1, Kelty Hearts finished 6th, and in League 2, East Fife finished 5th. Glasgow, Celtic. In what is probably the least surprising inclusion, the best side in Glasgow and also the country is Celtic. Celtic completed a league and cup double, beating Rangers to the Premiership title by 8 points and to the Scottish Cup, with Adam Ida scoring an 89th minute winner in the final. Rangers meanwhile would win the League Cup, beating Aberdeen in the final. In Europe, Celtic would finish bottom of their Champions League group with 4 points, whilst Rangers were knocked out at the round of 16 in the Europa League by Benfica. Elsewhere in Glasgow, Partick Thistle finished 3rd in the Championship, losing to Reef in the playoff semi-finals on penalties, with Queen's Park also in the Championship, but finishing a lowly 8th, just about finishing above the relegation playoffs. Inverclyde, Greenock Morton. Heading along the Clyde now, and we head to Greenock Morton, who are the best team in Inverclyde. Dougie Imrie's men finished their championship season in 5th, although performed the impressive feat of earning 108 yellow cards in 36 matches. In the Cups, meanwhile, Morton made it to the Scottish Cup quarter-final, where they were defeated by Hearts at Tynecastle and were defeated by Rangers at Ibrox in the second round of the League Cup. Elsewhere in Inverclyde, we have Greenock Juniors and Port Glasgow Juniors, finishing 8th and 14th in the West of Scotland 3rd Division. Midlothian, Bonnyrigg Rose. To the south of Edinburgh now to Midlothian, where we have Bonnyrigg Rose. Bonnyrigg finished 8th in League 2, staving off relegation once again with their survival confirmed on the final day for the second season in a row. When it came to the Cups, their Scottish Cup campaign ended at the 5th round away at Aberdeen, whilst in the League Cup they would exit at the group stage. Elsewhere in Midlothian, Pennycook Athletic finished 11th in the East of Scotland Premier Division, and in the First Division, Newton Green Star, Whitehill Welfare and Ardisson Rangers finished 5th, 11th and 12th respectively. Moray, Elgin City. Back up north now into the county that voted out Douglas Ross in the most recent election, we have Elgin City representing Moray. Elgin finished the season 7th in League 2 after a difficult start, seeing them use 3 managers in the first half of the season. In the Cups, meanwhile, they were embarrassingly put out of the Scottish Cup by losing 6-0 to East of Scotland Premiership side the Jeanfield Swifts, and in the League Cup would exit at the group stage, losing every game. There was success in other parts of Moray, however, with Buckie Thistle winning the Highland League title and other Moray sides Rothes, Keith, Lossiemouth and Forest finishing 11th, 13th, 14th and 15th. How nice of them to all be bunched together. h-Eileanan, West Side and Barra. Sé h-Eileanan a hagan anas hed sorcht agan guntovan sham bifanas pyramid hagus ha covonican agan curach. Hasio scaf gwyl ukoltach richa hir kenach ir talba. Hanio lieg nidruchral anacht an the Lewis in Shire a fagin an league acafin agus an loch acafin ag uis is Barra. Ha nidiogan curach nan diogan savre agus mars sin ha mira bunicin Susan the mere fekad at 3 agavil agus machination Lewis agus na here ha tovan la agan abarislarach agus eishin uisi Barra ha real Barra. Marin lucht benaked agan shanliach. North Ayrshire, Beef Juniors. Down to North Ayrshire now, and we have Beef Juniors. Beef are now back-to-back West of Scotland Premier Division champions, but will still compete in the league due to not getting promoted, as they don't have an SFA licence, meaning they can't compete in the Lowland League. Elsewhere in North Ayrshire, we have Largs and Irvine Meadow finishing 5th and 16th in the West of Scotland Premier Division, but if we just skip a few teams, we reach Saltcoats Victoria, who finished bottom of the West of Scotland 4th Division, meaning they are the worst team in the pyramid for the 2023-24 season. North Lanarkshire, Motherwell. Heading up to North Lanarkshire now and to Premiership stalwarts Motherwell. After a difficult start, Motherwell were able to climb up to 9th in the Premiership, 8 points clear of St Johnstone and Ross County. In the Cups, Morton knocked Motherwell out in the 5th round of the Scottish Cup, while St Mirren were victorious in the 2nd round of the League Cup. Elsewhere, Airdrie finished their first season back in the Championship in 4th, earning a playoff spot where they would eventually lose out to Partick Thistle, but won the Challenge Cup after beating the New Saints in the final. Orkney FC. Our second island county, but the only one with a side in the pyramid, we have Orkney FC. Orkney are just off the coast of Caithness, so it's actually feasible for them to compete in the leagues, and it's a North Caledonian league that they compete in, where the club managed to finish 8th. Imagine if they had an SFA licence. Could you imagine getting them away in the Scottish Cup during the winter? Good luck crossing the Pentland Firth. Perth and Kinross, St Johnstone. Back to the mainland again, and we have St Johnstone for Perth and Kinross. The Perth side were able to finish 10th in the Premiership, climbing out of the relegation playoff spot on the final day of the season. Cup competitions didn't get much better for St Johnstone, with a 4th round exit in the Scottish Cup at the hands of Airdrie, adding to their group stage exit of the League Cup. Elsewhere, we have to go down to the East of Scotland Premier Division to find Jeanfield Swifts, Lanarkshire and Kinnell, who finished 3rd, 12th and 16th respectively. Renfrewshire, St Mirren. Heading back to the west, we are in Paisley for Renfrewshire's best team, St Mirren. St Mirren managed to finish 5th last season in the Premiership, earning themselves a spot in the qualification round of the Conference League. In the Cups, meanwhile, they were knocked out in the 5th round of the Scottish Cup by Celtic, but in the League Cup were defeated by Hibs at the quarter-final stage. Elsewhere in Renfrewshire, Johnstone Borough and Renfrew competed in the West of Scotland First Division, finishing 3rd and 12th respectively. Scottish Borders, Gala Ferrydean Rovers. Heading to the Borders now, we have Gala Ferrydean Rovers. Based in the largest town in the Borders of Galashiels, Gala finished 16th in the Lowland League, which, whilst only one place above a potential relegation spot, were 20 points clear of Gretna in 17th. Elsewhere in the Borders, h-Eileanan finished bottom of the East of Scotland First Division with -3 points. Yeah, -3. Whilst Peebles finished 6th in the 2nd Division and Hawick finished 8th in the 3rd Division. Scottish Highlands, Ross County. To the other end of the country now, and we head up the A9 to Dingwall where we find Ross County. County fell to 11th in the Premiership on the final day, setting up a relegation playoff against Raith Rovers, a playoff they would go on to win. In the Cups, they managed to reach the quarter-finals of the League Cup before being knocked out by eventual finalists Aberdeen, but in the Scottish Cup they went out at the 4th round, losing 3-0 away at Partick Thistle. Elsewhere in the Highlands, Inverness were relegated from the Championship, and in the Highland League, Brora, Nairn, Wick and Clackmannanshire finished 6th, 8th, 12th and 17th. Shetland Islands, Lerwick Spurs. To the most northerly county and the last of the islands, we head up to Shetland, where we have Lerwick Spurs. Like the Lanarkshire, Shetland doesn't have a team in the pyramid and has a summer league, but unlike the Lanarkshire, it is just one league for the whole archipelago. The winners of the most recent Shetland season were Lerwick Spurs, who could possibly teach their London cousins a thing or two about winning trophies. South Ayrshire, Ayr United. Once again returning to the mainland, and we have Ayr United coming out on top in South Ayrshire. Ayr finished 7th in the Championship last season, 2 points above the relegation playoff spot, but also 1 point behind 5th place Morton. In the Scottish Cup, they were knocked out in the 5th round away against Rangers, and were knocked out of the League Cup at the 2nd round away at Livingston. Elsewhere, we have Troon finishing 12th in the West of Scotland Premier Division, Maybole and Whitlet's Victoria finishing 13th and 15th in the First Division, and Girvan finishing 15th in the 3rd Division. South Lanarkshire, Hamilton Academical. Heading up to South Lanarkshire now and to New Douglas Park where we have Hamilton Academical. Accies finished 2nd in League 1 last season but were able to earn promotion to the Championship after defeating Inverness in the playoff final. In cup competitions, however, they were less successful, with a 3rd round defeat to Kelty in the Scottish Cup and a League Cup group stage exit being all they could manage. Elsewhere, East Kilbride won the Lowland League but were denied promotion by losing to Stranraer in the playoffs, and Rutherglen, Blantyre and Cambuslang finished 4th, 8th and 14th in the West of Scotland First Division. Stirling Albion. Up to the banks of the River Forth now, where the best team in Stirling is Stirling Albion. Albion were relegated from League 1 after losing to Dunbarton in the playoffs. In the Cups, they made it to the 2nd round of the League Cup where they lost to Aberdeen, but in the Scottish Cup they were also knocked out in the 2nd round. This time though, it was to East Kilbride. The only other side in Stirling in the pyramid are Stirling University, who finished the Lowland League season in 11th. West Dunbartonshire, Dumbarton. To the banks of the Clyde and also the River Leven, we head to Dumbarton, who were the best team in West Dunbartonshire. Dumbarton finished 4th in League 2 last season, but wins over Stirling and Spartans saw them gain promotion back to League 1. When it comes to cup competitions, Dumbarton were knocked out of the Scottish Cup at the 4th round by Rangers, whilst in the League Cup they would exit at the group stage. Elsewhere, we have Clydebank finishing 4th in the West of Scotland Premier Division, and Vale of Leven finishing 6th in the 3rd Division. West Lothian, Livingston. Last in this list, and also last in the Premiership, we have Livingston. As mentioned, Livy finished bottom of the Premiership, 10 points from safety. Their cup runs were slightly better though, reaching the quarterfinals in both the League Cup and Scottish Cup, losing to Rangers and Celtic. Elsewhere in West Lothian, Linlithgow finished 8th in their first season in the Lowland League. They will be joined by Broxman Athletic, who managed to win the East of Scotland Premier Division. That's all for this video, and of course I hope you enjoyed our tour of Scotland. Were there any teams that surprised you? If so, leave them in the comments. I also want to profusely apologise for my probable butchering of the Gaelic language. I'm not exactly fluent, but I thought it would just be a bit different. Anyway, remember to like, share and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!